What's going on, everybody, and welcome back. So we're rocking another Corvette video here, and I'm gonna try to figure out what codes I have in here, because I know I've got some codes. The engine light keeps coming on and off, the brake light's on. I don't know what I'll be able to pull out of the cluster, but I've been doing some research here, and I'm gonna jumper pins 4 and 12, and we'll see what happens. So I'm just gonna, I got like a back probe. I wish I had 2 back probes, but I don't have my good work tools here. So I got a back probe and a meter lead. I'll try to just back probe the 4 and 12 so I don't jam the pins up. Not that it matters. And it'll read the codes out for me, hopefully, on the cluster. I'll show you guys, and we'll see if we can get to the bottom of some of these little issues I've been having. So I got it probed, and I'm gonna key it up. We'll see what happens on the cluster here. C72, that's 1. Okay. History, 27. These are all set in module 1. H72. Okay, lines. Module 4 is 1, 4, and 9. This is for H64, history 64. Okay. Module 9. We've got no codes. Alright. 1. So it's going to redisplay here. We've got I don't know if it's going to start over or not. I think I'm going to key it up, take some pictures of my phone, and look these codes up, and we'll get back to it. Okay, so it's been a day. I looked up the codes, and I think the 64 code is, I believe, was the O2 sensor code. It's history because it sets when the car idles and the check light comes on, and then it goes out when I'm driving. So I think that there's probably a O2 sensor that has a problem, or there's something going on with the injectors on that bank. I don't know, but I'm gonna throw an O2 at it because I'm just so busy right now. I could swap the O2 sensors, and I'd recommend that you would swap the O2s from this side to this side because they're the same part number. I verified that, so you could swap them, and then you could see if it fixes it. But at a certain point, the car's really old. It needs new O2 sensors, so I'll try to change that one. If that fixes the problem, then at some point I'll try to change the other one too. We happen to stock one at work, and it was cheap, so I just got it. So I'm just gonna try to change the oxygen sensor because I have a bank 2 sensor 1, so it's going to be the passenger side, and the pre-catalytic converter one, which is responsible for fueling. So if that sensor is reading incorrectly, it's reading lean, then it will be dumping a bunch of extra fuel into that bank. And when Will was behind me, my buddy there, he said that it was smoking out of the passenger side. So I think it's possible that the O2 is reading incorrectly, and this thing's just dumping a bunch of fuel into this whole bank here, and it's making it run poorly, and causing misfires and all sorts of rough idle conditions, which I have definitely felt the rough idle, and just didn't know if it was OptiSpark or what. But the engine light comes on, and then the idle picks up. It goes, and it picks right up, and I think it's disregarding the reading from the O2. I think it shuts down its reading from the O2, and it goes off of a bass tune, it runs better on the bass tune than it does on that super rich mixture. So I was trying to get the Tech 1 so I could read the trims, and that just wasn't working out with the adapters that I had for this weird port. Couldn't get the scan tool on the computer to start working, but I did get the O2 code, so I know which one. So like I said, I could swap, but I'm just going to throw the O2 at it, just cause it's changing 102 versus basically changing 3, because I gotta go bing bing and then install 2, and then you gotta reinstall the one that's broken over here, and yada yada. Who knows if I can get them loose. So I'm just gonna go for the 1, so I'm gonna try to do that in the next few days here, and then drive it again and see if that fixes our check engine light problem here. So I get my O2 sensor, and I'm like, alright, sweet, I'm ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and start installing this thing. So I get my box, and I take my sensor out. It's really nice, looking fresh. It looks like the redesigned setup here. I'll show you guys in a minute, but essentially it turned into a big job. So I'm trying to get the old O2 out, can't get it out. It's fixed in there because it's been in there for 30 years. It's the original sensor, So having a tough time getting it loose. I brought my O2 sensor socket home, and I had my long ratchet on there. I even tried to go up from the bottom on the O2 socket with a long breaker bar, and it's just, if I do move, it's just gonna round the nut. So I figured, let me just pull the cat down. That's pretty much the best way. I tried heat, propane torch, I tried pretty much everything I could, and we didn't get anywhere. So I decided, let's pull the exhaust down. So quickly, an O2 job turns into much bigger, but I've got the exhaust down now. Try to get some light here. So you can see I got the pipe off. I got my exhaust down. I had to pull both cats off the manifolds here just because you have to lower the exhaust down far enough to slide it out from the frame rail. So now we got all kinds of room up there. Be a good time to inspect some stuff and take a look at what's going on in there. I got both of our O2 plugs. Gotta make sure I plug the right ones in the correct spots when I put it back together. Got a slight oil leak over there, not too bad. Not all the oil leaking on the cat that I thought, but once I got the cat off, I was like, all right, we're good. Let me just go ahead and get the O2 out, and I'll probably just bring it to work and do that. And then I hear something rattling, and I'll show you guys what I found. So here's the cat. I'm moving it around, and I heard a noise. It's not the flange, okay? When you look inside of here, you can see the catalyst all the way in there. I don't know if it'll focus. Yeah, just barely focusing all the way in there. And I'll try to get everything correct here for you to see it. There's the catalyst in there, and if I shake this, it moves, which means it's detached, and the catalyst is plugged. It's plugging up my my flow. So we got a clog cat, and probably never set the catalyst inefficiency code just because I had the other O2 code in there pending, and you know, who drives it long enough without disconnecting the battery to get it to run a cat test. So, you know, this O2 was obviously replaced at one point. I don't know if there's another secondary O2 that's been replaced. I gotta look at the other side. Now I think I'll pull the other one off, but you can see this original sensor here. It looks hammered. Literally, it looks like somebody hit it with a hammer. And I definitely did not hit it with a hammer. I twisted my socket on there, but you know, I think somebody did try to get it off. There was like a slice made to the shield. I don't know what happened. Maybe this is a cat off of a different car. Who knows? This car, I actually just got the Carfax today. There's a lot going on with this car. This car is very old, had a lot of owners, but I think I might do a video on that. But this rear one's been replaced. So I'm gonna replace it with one that looks like that. If I can get it out, then I'll have to probably remove this loose material in this box here. So I got the fan going. I think what I'm gonna do is I could try to get the bolts off the other side. I want to take the other cat off to see if that one's clogged too. I just got to do it. I'm right here, right now. Now's the time to check it out. So I'm just gonna go for it, and I want to try to not get the Accord any dustier than it is. So I got the fan blasting. I'm gonna give myself a nice clear path. I should probably get the gas outside, but this cat is, I got the O2 out. Basically, I just cut it with a die grinder and then smashed it with a hammer, and then I peeled this back so I could get a socket on it, and I put a 22mm stubby socket on it, and then I took some MAP gas and heated this up. The MAP gas is great, guys. Like, if you never use MAP gas, go get some. It's way better than propane, I'll tell you right now. So that worked really good on this area, and then I just put the big half-inch bar on it and just cracked it, and it came loose. And you want to try to, I know it's when it's really hot, it's pretty easy, but you can like loosen it, tighten it a little bit, and loosen it, tighten it, spray a little bit of lubricant in there. It was pretty much just burning off, but you want to do that and work it back and forth so you don't wreck the threads coming out of there, because they can be kind of brittle. So we did save the threads though. Seems like it's going to work out. So I'm going to load up the anti-seize on the new sensor and put it in there, and it does not have to be that tight. There's a crush washer on it, you know, it's gonna seal. I mean, obviously you don't want to loose, but it doesn't have to be like, you know, you don't want it to ever come out, because you never know. But that was an OE1, so that's why it was in there good. So I'm just gonna get under there now, probably cut the other cat off, and we'll take a gander and we'll see what that one looks like. Should be closer to the catalyst in there, so you might be able to see it, and we'll see if it's in good shape. So I got the other cat off, and to my surprise it was not as bad as the other one, but that's fine. And I got these studs on the bottom that I'm gonna have to take to work tomorrow. I'm gonna probably heat it up with a torch and extract them. Got a nicer, just a nicer setup and vise and work area over there than I do here. I do have the torches, but I'll just attempt it at work. Too many cars in here, not enough room. You know, makes me nervous with the torch there. So I'll just hit this up at work tomorrow, extract those, and I plan on running some bolts into here, some long bolts instead of these studs. We'll see if that works for me, just to hit this ball flange here. But otherwise, yeah, this side looks pretty good. So this is still the original sensor on this side, but it doesn't look like it was hit with a hammer. So hopefully it's not damaged now. And that'd be funny if this side went. But I think that side's more accessible here, and hopefully we'll be able to get it off. But we'll just rock it for now and save myself the 60 bucks that I got that sensor for, which is a cheap price. It would be more than that. So anyway, we're all set here. We're just gonna go ahead and put the other one on, which I got over here, and this one can go back together for now. I gotta get new nuts for the exhaust, I think, but we've got our guy on there. So high temp anti-seize might have been a good thing to put on the studs for the manifold, because they are gonna have to come off at some point again. But I think we'll be okay, because next time they come off, we'll be putting long tubes on. We can snap everything, so that'll be fine. Reminds me of what I'm gonna have to be doing pretty soon when I live at my new house, is mowing my lawn. I don't have that many obligations living at home. That's why I'm able to crank out so much work. But pretty soon, with a full-time job and with all this homeowner stuff coming up, I'm not gonna have that much time. So just want to get the Corvette to a point where it is fun. I can drive it, do little things here and there, no major projects like an exhaust system. Seems like a big thing to me. I can, whatever. I'll still work on the cars, but coming up is gonna be some other stuff. So I just want to get this thing ready to enjoy, so I don't have to work on it, and I can just drive it and enjoy the car. Take it out to shows and stuff. So we're gonna keep plugging away on this. The Accord's pretty dialed right now. I don't think I'm gonna touch it, just because it's reliable. And once I get it out of here into the other establishment, whatever, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, cats are all set. Gonna go back on. I'll show you guys how I end up doing it. So at this point, the exhaust is fully back together. Let's see if I can show you guys under here. I got this guy on, and I cut the studs off, and then I went to extract them. I used the acetylene torch, and one of them came out, two of them snapped. So I drilled through the holes, and once I got to a big size on one of them, it actually bit the stud and drove it through, and I put it in reverse and backed the rest of the stud out of the threads. So I was able to get two of them perfectly clean up. I ran a tap through them, and then the last one I drilled slightly crooked, but I still was able to run a tap through it and make threads on half of it, even though the other side was flat. It still held a bolt, so I just ran some like 2 1/4 inch bolts through there instead of the stud and nut combo, and it seemed to work out pretty well. At least the exhaust doesn't sound like it leaks. So I have both the cats back up. Everything is nice and freely flowing now, all the way up to, we got the resonator, and then we have the rear. So I think in the next video, I'm gonna start doing the exhaust on this thing. So I just gotta find out where I'm gonna put my cutouts. So I think I may jack it up straight, pull down the spare tire, and start messing around with locations for, you know, my cutouts to be. So I don't know where that's gonna be yet, but we're just gonna have to get started on mocking everything up and seeing what kind of room we have under here. Hopefully I can make my idea work. For now, at least, if I could get the cutouts mounted, we can worry about the other piping later. As long as I've got some sort of dump going on, I'll be content. if you have a Corvette and you think that you might use the spare someday, you should probably pull it down and take a look at it, because you probably won't end up using it. I don't know how old this one is. It's probably the original spare. It's been sitting. I'm gonna take this thing off and throw it in the garbage. I could air it up and run it. I'm sure it would be fine, but I'm just not gonna get a flat tire, and we'll just say that. So I think I'm gonna remove this spare tire, and we're gonna put something in its place. I got the packaging right here. Maybe some of you guys might know what it is, but it consists of a dump valve, or a couple electronically controlled dump valves, and we'll basically use this to actuate the exhaust and allow it to flow through the stock muffler or pass through this open cutout when it is open. And I think it'll be pretty cool to have. It converts to one, and we'll have a switch inside, so we'll be able to have it loud and have it quiet. We just got to get these pipes in and figure out where we're going to dump it. And so, yeah, for now all I want to do is dump it. Later on we can figure out how to route it and piping, but we do have to lose the spare tire, I think, to have the room to do what we want to do. And like I said, I don't think that's very good. Anyway, I'm sure we could air it up, but it's definitely an old tire, and it's nasty. I can't imagine pulling this down on the side of the road with all the rodent stuff in there and just being like, oh, it's flat. Great. So yeah, let's check up on this and get it all cleaned out. So pulling down the spare tire really did free up a lot of room down there. You can see our gas tank. I still have to remove that strap. I unbolted the spare tire holder from the back there, and you can see all of our rear suspension and everything. So I should be able to send the cutouts up, and I'll probably have to wrap them and wrap the gas tank so we don't heat that up. But should be able to send them up and then bring them where I need them, because we got a lot of room up there to hide the pipes. So that's pretty cool. So now I think I'm just gonna mock up where I want to place them, and looks like it'll be really easy to change the rear diff fluid. Maybe not. I don't think that's the drain plug there. I think that's on the side of that, but that's okay. We still got to do that stuff too. But of course, I'm skipping to the fun part and doing the exhaust. So I made a cut on the left side. I'll show you guys. I got the muffler supported right here, and I tried to mock it up, make it look like it did, so I can have the muffler at the right height. And if you look, I've got cut there and there. So I just have the pipe loosely fitted right now. Yeah, it's nice and loose. So I should be able to put our cutout in that gap there. I may need to cut more. I'm going to work on sleeving and seeing what kind of pieces I need to use for it, because I did buy some adapters, which aren't right, of course, but maybe we'll be able to make something work. So I'm just going to play around with it and see what I can get to fit. So I got a quick little mock-up right here. I want to make sure that the exhaust pipes look similar, and honestly I think they do. They look pretty centered right now. So what I want to do is go mark on the actual muffler piece here where this is, because I think I have this extending way in here. It's just gonna hurt flow a little bit, so I'd like to cut it back to somewhere around here, and then we'll have more room to actually move the muffler around and get it perfectly squared up, and we'll be able to hopefully fill this gap with some weld. I mean, it is what it is. It's not going to be perfect, but we got a little bit of wiggle room in there, and we'll weld it up, fill the gaps in. But for the most part, I think it's pretty nice. We're gonna have this mounted here, and I like the angle that we got this at, because it keeps the pipe nice and high, and you really can't see most of this. It's tucked away just as much as these pipes are, along with this too, because this cord will be run somewhere up here. So it's pretty cool, because I don't think you'll be able to see the cutout hanging down. When you look, like if you just see the muffler, I mean, you may see it down there, but you'd have to really get under the car enough to see the pipes too. So, you know, it'll be hidden enough. But I think it's going to be really sick to do this, and I can run the pipes out that way. We'll see how it sounds like this. maybe it's ridiculously loud and I want to put some resonators on it or something, I could always put a resonator right here along the stock muffler. Although I don't think I'll have to do that. I think I'll like it straight piped. And I'll maybe even delete that resonator down there and just put like an X pipe is what I'm thinking. So long tubes, X pipe, stock mufflers, and dumps. So I think this should be pretty cool to test out. I think it's a pretty unique setup and I'm excited about it. So yeah, we'll figure out what we're doing with the tips later on. I'd like to do something about that. So anyway, that is the mock-up. I'm gonna pull it back apart, chop some stuff, and then get to tack welding. I'll disconnect the battery first, and then I'll just tack weld everything up, and then I'll probably have to pull the exhaust system down to finish weld it, just to get behind everything. We'll see how well I can do on the car, but it'll be nicer to do it on the ground. So I'll tack it up as good as I can, and then we'll probably try to pull the exhaust system down again, even though I didn't really want to, but I think that's the right way to do it. And once I get both sides tacked on, we'll pull the system down, finish weld it, and stick it back up. So I got this left side a little more than tacked. I put a couple of beads just to make sure it would stay put. Just on this side closest to us on the rear. I'll have to figure out how I'm going to weld the rest of the pipes afterwards, but I'm going to go ahead and do the other side now. So I just kind of make my preliminary cut based on the other elbow here, and I did that already, cut this pipe down. So what I'm doing, I bought these 2.75 to 3 inch adapters because I thought that this was going to be, you know, able to fit in or over, and I didn't check the ID/OD stuff, so it's a butt joint, and which is fine. I've done plenty of butt joints, but it's just easier to overlap and sleeve stuff, and it's probably stronger. So what I decided to do is sacrifice. I bought two packs, and one of them I'll probably return, but this one here, I've just been cutting a ring out. So I just cut a sleeve that goes inside of here, and I banged it in there and just tacked it here. So now when I sleeve this over the existing pipe, it actually fits pretty well, versus this side's like huge. This side is close, you know. I mean, it's still not the right size, but it at least gets me somewhere where I can like fill the gap in. So, almost good stuff. So that's what I'm doing to make this work. I know it's not maybe the right way, but we're doing an exhaust system. And it's not a high flow, high performance Ferrari, so it's gonna work out just great. And it looks cool too, I think. Once I paint over all my ugly welds, nobody will ever know what happened down here. They'll hear it though. So it's gonna be good. I'll just cut myself another sleeve, put it on the other side of this, and then I can start mocking this up and get it all, you know, where I want it. And then I'll tack it just like this side. And then we've got our cutouts installed. We just gotta do the wiring and obviously finish weld everything. But yeah, it's pretty sick. I'm excited. I think it's gonna sound really good. So it's later on, and I've got it. It's all set. So I ended up pulling the exhaust down, unbolted the hangers and everything like that, and I pulled it down enough where I could weld on the tops of everything. So you can see I painted everything with spray paint so it won't rot. But I've got both of the cutouts welded in. I don't have them wired yet, but I also haven't started it yet, so I'm gonna save that for the next video. So you guys, if you want to hear how it sounds, I'll probably try to take some short clips for sure, because it's definitely gonna sound sick. I still have to route the pipes and wire it. So I'd like to send these pipes, you know, over to dump near where the exhaust comes out. That way it's not under the car so much, but I do think it's gonna sound really good. Hopefully the fumes don't come inside the car. Anyway, if you guys want to hear how it sounds, tune in for the next video. Thank you all for watching me put cutouts on this thing and install an O2 sensor / take all the cats down and everything. Big exhaust video, but needed to be done. I love doing exhaust stuff, so I can't wait to hear how this sounds. Peace.